In this question, we are looking at the drawing of isomers. Drawing of isomers is related to alkenes and alkenes, where we look at structure and bonding of the members of the homologous series. So the first thing is this. The question is very kind to tell you that butene is an alkene. So we need to recall that alkenes contain the carbon-carbon double bond. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is to draw the structure of butene. We need to infer from the name but, the prefix tells us that there are 4 carbons. So the structure of butene will look something like this. We have a carbon-carbon double bond, and in total we have 4 carbon atoms that are connected together by covalent bonds. Next, once we have the skeleton of butene, we need to now draw in the hydrogen atoms. When you draw in the hydrogen atoms, you need to keep in mind this very important thing, that there should only be 4 lines around each carbon atom, because carbon can only form a maximum of 4 bonds. So there should be 4 lines around each carbon atom. Okay, the common mistake that students make is in the carbon number 2, where they draw an extra bond below. So take note that each carbon atom can only have 4 lines or 4 bonds, and then we add a hydrogen to each bond. Okay, so this is the structure of butene. Next, you are supposed to draw the structures of 2 isomers. So we have already drawn one. What we have here is 1 isomer of butene. So we need to draw another butene molecule with a different structure or different arrangement of atoms. Now, one very easy way to draw an isomer for an alkene is to shift the position of the double bond. So since we have an alkene here, we can easily get the other isomer by shifting the double bond to between the second and third carbon atoms. Okay, and then we draw in the remaining hydrogen atoms as well. Okay, now if ever you are unsure whether whatever you have drawn is indeed an isomer, that means have a different structure from the original structure, what you can do is you can name the alkene, and if they have different names, it means that they have different structures. Okay, so the name of the top alkene would be but1-ene. Okay, why but1-ene? Because the carbon-carbon double bond is between carbons 1 and 2, and then the bottom structure is called but2-ene because the carbon-carbon double bond is between carbons 2 and 3. Okay, now the next method that I'm going to teach you is a very useful method for drawing isomers, especially in higher levels as well. Okay, the method goes like this. To draw an isomer, you need to chop off 1 carbon atom from the carbon skeleton. So remember, we had 4 carbon atoms, so we just chop off 1 carbon atom, and we attach the carbon atom to one of the middle carbons. Okay, it's very important that you attach that carbon to a middle carbon, because if you add it to one of the carbons at the end, essentially you get the same structure. Alright, so this is what we have done. Now what is left is that we need to draw in the bonds again to the carbon atoms, and once again remember that each carbon atom can only have a maximum of 4 lines or 4 bonds. So this is the structure that we get by chopping off 1 carbon atom and then attaching it to a middle carbon. Now how do we name this? To name a branch alkane or alkene, we need to look for the longest continuous chain. So the longest continuous chain here consists of 3 carbon atoms, so we call this propene. And then next we name the branch. The branch contains of 1 carbon atom. Okay, so we call it methyl propene. So once again, whenever you are asked to draw an isomer of an alkane or an alkene, a very useful method would be to chop off one carbon from the carbon skeleton and attach that carbon to one of the middle carbon atoms, and you will get an alkane or alkene with a different structure.